Deonna Purrazzo, who I always refer to as Deonna Purrazzo. I never just call her Deonna. I always say, hello, Deonna Purrazzo, because I love your name.
Oh, thanks.
So hello, Deonna Purrazzo.
Good morning.
I refer to her as my virtuosa. Hello, my virtuosa. How are you today?
Hi, Tommy. I'm good. How are you?
So happy to see my Huila Loca and my virtuosa. Oh, man. A lot of good stuff's going on.
Yeah.
Deonna, how's
absolutely.
things? How are you personally, professionally? How's life in AEW? Bring us up to speed. How you doing?
Yeah, everything's great. I'm happy. Steve and I are happy. I have no complaints all across the board.
Good. That's
What
great.
about Thunder Rosa?
Oh, well, I can complain a lot about that.
Ooh, spill some tea. Spill some tea.
It's just been I said it a couple weeks ago, like at some point I feel like it takes a stronger woman to admit defeat. And I've defeated her 3 times in a row now.
Talk to us about the Lumberjill match that you recently had against Thunder Rosa, in which you defeated her.
Yeah. I had never been in that type of stipulation match, so it was really interesting. And I thought it was a really great opportunity to get like a lot of faces on TV. And we saw kind of at the end everyone break down, and we saw Bailey Starks and Red Velvet get into it, and Diamante and Layla Hirsch get into it, and Taya Valkyrie obviously helped me for the win. So I thought it was really interesting and just added like another level to it. And it'll be really interesting to see if Taya and I can work together moving forward.
Yep, two very, very dominant females, both in and out of the ring. Both want the top spot. Work with both of you. This whole thing with you and Thunder Rosa kind of started because she's a host here on Busted Open on Fridays. With you and her, you kind of went together first as a tag, and then it kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
Kind of talk to me, hence why you feel, two sides to every story.
Yeah. Well, I feel like a lot of people have forgotten that that's where it started. This started back in March. This started after I lost at Revolution to Toni Storm for the AEW Women's World Championship. And that was because Mariah and Toni came together and forces. I couldn't beat both of them at the same time, right? And I needed someone to help me maybe get back on track against both of them, an equalizer. And Thunder Rosa was that person. I thought she was perfect for that. But Thunder Rosa is a very selfish person, whether she likes to admit that or not, and tagged herself into the match when I was totally fine handling myself. I was in control. And she did get the win that night, which is great, but not at my expense. And I think the difference between Thunder Rosa and I now is I can admit I'm selfish. I can admit I want the glory. I'm here for the AEW Women's World Championship. I'm here for me. She likes to go on and on and on. She's here for her people. She's here to make people proud. I'm here to make myself proud. And if she would admit her real goals and her real mindset, maybe she would be victorious against me. But if she wants to continue this charade that she's not here for herself, then I'm going to continue to beat her ass week after week after week.
Deonna, I am loving this. Did you just admit to being selfish?
100%.
Would you like to know what part of the conversation was this morning with me and Tommy?
Oh, okay. Do tell.
You have to be selfish in pro wrestling.
Yeah. I feel like I came into AEW and I was like, I'm going to do the right things. You know what I mean? I want this new locker room to like me. I want to earn my respect. And it got me nowhere. It got me absolutely nowhere, but beaten by 2 people, cheated out of the AEW Women's World Championship. So I had to do some reevaluating. And Thunder Rosa just forced me to embrace who I really am, who you guys know that I really am, who the fans know the Virtuosa is. She wants to be on top. She wants to be a champion. She wants to be, the number one bitch. And I'm on my way back to being her.
When you talk about that locker room, I look at that locker room also. I'll look at Wembley, and I'm like, wow, I have a lot of options for women and in top spots. You have obviously Toni Storm and Mariah May. You have Chris Statlander and Willow still have unfinished business. You have yourself. You have Mercedes Moné with the returning Britt Baker, who I know you're friends with. There's so many different high-level women in this division right now. It's totally striving. And for you, like, I mean, you know me, how I feel about you personally. I feel you're one of the best female professional wrestlers out there. And this, like, for you and Thunder, are your goal like Wembley, some big Dynamite? Like, what is? I mean, because you ladies have crushed it. You had that no DQ match, or I don't remember the exact term of what that match was, and it was amazing. But yes,
Thank you.
kind of also see you have her number.
Yeah, I definitely think Wembley has to be at the forefront of everybody's mind. That's the biggest show of the year. That's going to be where, the most eyes are on you. But I feel like, of course, spots are limited, and there's so many great women's stories going on that if it doesn't happen at Wembley, I've talked about, some type of bigger stipulation, whether it's Texas death match, whether it's Texas bull rope, whether it's, I don't know, a cage match, first blood match. There's something here that we can continue to elevate past that no DQ match. And right now we have, we've been exclusively on Collision, but we just started our residency in Arlington, Texas, and that's her hometown, or her home state, I apologize. So I feel like there would be no better than to make her bleed and finish this in her home state of Texas.
Deonna, talking about great women and great stories, I was really invested in the Deonna Purrazzo, Toni Storm story, the very real life story of the both of you. Do you feel like that story played out in its entirety to the maximum extent, or do you think there was a lot more depth to it that you would have liked to have seen make its way to television?
I definitely think there's a lot more to it, and I feel like we've kind of veered off into this me and Thunder Rosa thing, but that all stems from still me losing at Revolution, Thunder Rosa losing the next month at Dynasty. So I feel like once Mariah and Toni kind of culminates, and we see how that plays out, it's so easy for me to get right back. Mariah and I have had, a long history for the 8 months that I've been there, from me interrupting her debut on my debut to her costing me the AEW Women's World Championship. So I feel like there's so much more there to do, and we have so much more time to watch it play out.
As someone who I guess you had a friendship with and an animosity with, what recently happened to her? Being bludgeoned with the shoe and beaten up, and a very, very graphic image. How did you kind of feel about that? Did you want to help? Like, how do you feel about that?
I think that karma is a you-know-what, and I feel like
And
taking
so
advantage
is my virtuosa.
That's what happens when you are distracted. That's what happens when you're so self-absorbed you don't see what's going on around you. And as graphic and as intense as it was to watch, I feel like I know Toni Storm. I know the Toni Storm that was my best friend for years and years and years. And I feel like this isn't the last we've seen of her. She's going to come back a different Toni Storm when she comes back, ready to face Mariah. And that's going to be a completely different Toni Storm than we've seen for the last year.
Deonna, let's take your story outside of the ring for a minute. Let's talk about what you do in your day-to-day and this venture that you're very passionate about. Talk to me about Amazon's Clear the List. Give me, Tommy, and everybody else out there in the nation, bring us up to speed on what Clear the List is and what it means to you.
Yeah, Amazon's Clear the List is an initiative they run every summer. And basically it's teachers who make Amazon wish lists, and then they can tweet those wish lists out. They can share them with their friends and their family in hopes that people will buy the supplies that are listed. And those supplies they range from, construction paper to desks, to printers, to classroom chairs, to carpets, to rugs, to books. Just the supplies they need to kick off their new school years in the best way possible. Personally, I was a teacher before wrestling became my full-time job. I was a preschool teacher for about, 4 years. And I know the struggle of not having the supplies you need and constantly having to go out of pocket. We're already underpaid, then go out of pocket to buy the supplies you need because you love your kids, you love your students, and they become like your own. And So this just kind of alleviates that pressure. And I've been doing this for 5 or 6 years now. Every summer, I throw up 8x10s on my Big Cartel store, and 100% of the proceeds go towards helping me buy school supplies for teachers all over the country. So Amazon's Clear the List is just something really close to my heart that I love to do every year. And this year I want to make the biggest year that we give so far.
Which is more difficult, Deonna? You said you taught preschool?
Yeah.
Which is more difficult, being a preschool teacher or a pro wrestler?
Oh, I think preschool teacher,
or does it feel
down,
like you're back in preschool dealing with certain pro wrestlers?
Yes. Kids are more difficult, hands down, because especially at preschool, you're potty training, you're introducing new foods. There's a lot of body fluids going on that need to be handled.
Okay.
Are number 2 pencils still a thing?
Yes, actually, I bought a lot of pencils this year so far.
I wonder why there were never number 1 pencils. This is the only time that number 2 settles.
I think the lead in the number 2 pencil is what made it special, and why we're talking about number 2 pencils.
Well, because I want an answer from a teacher. I never understood.
I want answers from you all the time, Tommy, and I get nothing. Now you want to know from Deonna about number 2 pencils?
She's my virtuosa. You're my annoying friend.
Deonna, if me or Tommy wanted to donate to this Amazon Clear the List, how do we go about it?
Yeah, so right now I just have I have like an 8x10 up on my store, and that's the one thing to purchase. But I'm trying to figure out how I can make like a donation thing on my Big Cartel. So for right now, everyone can go on to DeonnaPurrazzo.BigCartel.com. I will put the link in my Twitter when we get off of here, just for easy access. And if you click that, there's an 8x10 up there to buy. And like I said, 100% of the proceeds go towards Amazon's Clear the List.
Deonna, every wrestling company is different. It's different locker rooms, it's different management, different across the board. How has AEW been different for you?
I feel like coming from, I still call it Impact, but TNA, coming from there, I was the head of our locker room. I was the locker room leader. Everyone kind of came to me with things going on or drama or to like help dissipate that. And it's funny because I was just at the TNA tapings in Philadelphia with Steve, and I walk in and I get treated like royalty, and I can do no wrong there. And it still feels like family. But that's because I was there so long and I'm so comfortable with everyone. They've become my best friends in my family. So to come into a locker room where I don't have those types of relationships with a lot of people, it's more difficult because I'm reestablishing and I'm trying to earn that respect. And you know, I'm a firm believer in you have to earn respect. It's not just given. So I didn't want to just like rest on like, this is who I was before I got here. I had to reestablish that in a lot of people's minds. So I feel like that was for me the most difficult part, was really trying to like open up and be myself and let these girls know who like Deonna Purrazzo really is outside of the wrestling. But then also make sure that they know like, I'm here to do good work and I'm here for you and I'm here to like do whatever we need to do to make this division better. And that's how like I earn my respect is through the work we put in. So it's been an adjustment, but I feel like I finally found a groove with everyone about 8 months in.
I want to follow up on your work rate, Deonna. Like when you were in TNA, you were working consistently every week or 2 weeks. You'd show up to TV or whatever, you know, house shows, whatever. Your name is up there on the list. You're performing on a regular basis. In AEW, across the board, it's not as regular. How do you deal with showing up and maybe not seeing your name on the list for Dynamite, Collision, Rampage? And what do you do outside of going to work to keep yourself in ring shape?
Yeah, Steve and I have gone to quite a few rings down here in Orlando just to kind of keep in ring shape and keep your mind going. Yeah, because it does get difficult when you show up to work and you're not the one being used. And I feel like just from all of my past experiences, I've tried to get ahead of that and not let it get inside my head. So I actually am going back to school to get my master's degree. I've been trying to learn Italian on the side and just figure out things that like real life Deonna wants to accomplish again. So that way, as much as I love wrestling and I want to be doing the wrestling on every show, on every Dynamite, every Rampage, every Collision, that's not realistic. And I want to not get in my own head about that.
Deonna Purrazzo, I am a sucker for women who speak proper Italian. I absolutely love it. I melt. So can you say a couple of nice things to me in Italian?
Oh, God, don't put me on the spot.
Well, that's kind of what I do. It's my job. You know,
Status el gordo.
You told me to shut up, Mr. Fathead, or in Spanish and Italian.
Hey, so let's say we get to Wembley. There's some matches that are already on the board. I would say there's 2 big money matches in your future. One would be, and I know you're really, really tight with her, DMD. And on the other side of it, you versus CEO is a lot of money out there on the table. Your thoughts?
Both of those I would love. You know, we've talked about Britt on here extensively, and everyone knows that's one of my best friends. So I feel like for us to finally be in the same company, in the same place, it's inevitable. At some point, we're going to work together. At some point, we're going to hate each other. And I really look forward to that. And then, yeah, with Mercedes, I feel like that's a dream match that I've always had. And we've always just like skirted around each other. We've never gotten the chance to be in the same place at the same time. My dream match would be a submission match with her. I feel like we are both so technical and so submission. Like we've built our career on having submissions. And I feel like to trade those back and forth would be a dream come true for me.
Speaking of Britt Baker and your friendship with her, how is the dear old doctor doing with her new baby face role within AEW? Is she embracing it or is she fighting it like the evil heel that she wants to be?
I think she's embracing it. I feel like when she came out the Dynamite after Forbidden Door, when she returned, like she bared her soul. Those are things that she hadn't told very many people she was going through. And I feel like she was able to connect on a real serious personal level by telling a real story. She really went through a TIA. She really was in the hospital for, you know, a week on end. She really had no idea what was going on with her. So as her friend, to kind of go through that with her and to see her put that story out there and know how big of a deal it was, I feel like it was natural for her. She really went out there and she's going to embrace this role.
Deonna, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We always love having you. You know, hey, you have an open door policy on Busted Open. Can keep continuing to do a great job, and we hope to see you in all the matches that you want to be involved in.
Thank you guys so much.
One last plug for what we're here for.
Oh, yep. Everyone could go to DeonnaPurrazzo.bigcartel.com to help me clear the list for Amazon's Clear the List initiative.
And I hope everybody in the Busted Open Nation visits your site right now and donates at least $1. Because if we can get the whole Busted Open Nation to donate at least $1, you're going to be rolling in school supplies. You'll be doing really well.
Absolutely. That's the goal. Please, guys, support.
Yes, I'm sure the Busted Open Nation is great when it comes to this stuff, so I'm sure they will support you. Deonna, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.